Diversification. What is it? Normally, it's a financial term, and I know almost nothing about financial terms. What I'm talking about is diversification in your gaming, both as a retail store and as a gamer. We just saw something this week where Games Workshop, who's kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the industry, came out and said that the Canadians can no longer sell online the Games Workshop stuff through websites and stuff like that, through a shopping cart, as they like to call it. Now, we've had that going on here in America for a while. In America, if you're going to buy something Games Workshop related from a website that's not Games Workshop, you call generally and say, I want this and this, what's the price you can get me, and that kind of stuff. And it's handled on the phone, but it can't be handled on the website. There's a relatively famous website in Canada called miniwargaming.com, and they were selling a lot of GW stuff, amongst other things. And they came out today and said that they were going to be closing their store. And it was directly related to Games Workshop, basically cutting out a big portion of their business by saying it was now something they couldn't do. They could not sell Games Workshop stuff. Now, this is not to say that Mini Wargaming is not a diversified company. They also sell War Machine. They sell a lot of other stuff. I haven't looked a ton at their site, but I also know they're even making their own game. So good for them. They're going to keep selling their game on their store, and also magnets for magnetizing your models. But otherwise, they're closing down their store. So you can see how quickly something like that can change. As a gamer, why should you care? Well, a couple different reasons. One is you should care because now you've got fewer places to buy from. If you're a Canadian and you were going to be buying from miniwargaming.com, now it's going to be a little bit more difficult, obviously, because they're not going to be selling Games Workshop stuff. So you're going to have to look for someplace else. And with the way the dollar is versus the Canadian dollar, and there's the loony coins. Like I said, I'm not very good at finances necessarily. But I can tell you that I think it's very important as a gamer that you diversify. Diversify what you play. If you only play one system, you only play War Machine, let's say, from Privateer Press, or you only play Games Workshop, when those companies make big changes, it's very easy for you to be left in the lurch. But if you spread yourself a little thin sometimes, you can also find it where you'll end up with too many games and you won't be able to determine what you want to play. You won't get things painted. You've got so many of these and so many of these and so many of these. And I fall into that category myself. I've got a lot of games. I've got a lot of different systems, but I'm starting to look at it now and I'm saying I want to start to focus some, but it's not just Games Workshop. I've got a couple armies for Games Workshop, and that's fine. After the events of this week, I don't see myself getting a third, I can tell you that. So what other kind of games are there out there besides the big ones? Games Workshop being a very big one. Privateer Press's War Machine and Hordes, that's another big one. Well, I think a good idea for a miniatures gamer is to start to look into skirmish games. Now, if your main game is an army game, and you've got a whole bunch of guys, tons and tons and tons of soldiers and tanks and flyers and all this stuff, that's great. And you want to put your time into that, that's great. If you want to be a tournament player, a very good tournament player who wins, then you're going to probably need to focus just on one game, which is fine. But if you want to have an enjoyable time and you're not out there just to become a person who is a tournament winner, okay, well then what you want to do is you're going to want to spread things around a little bit. And skirmish games, in my opinion, are the best way to do it, because you can really sit down with a skirmish game, sometimes you can invest less than $150 and have as much as you need. Mercs, made by Mercs Miniatures. That's a game in which you can only have 5 guys on the table at any time. They make more than 5 guys per faction. They make 6, 7, maybe as many as 8 at this point, but you can only ever field 5 at a time. So you can't really build up and have the big arms race like you do in a lot of games where, oh, I've got all these guys and you've got these guys and then you bought these guys. You just, basically, you've got 5 guys. You bring them or you don't. You know, maybe you could have the ability to choose, well, I'm going to bring these 5 guys this time, but next time I'm going to bring these 5 guys, and maybe you've got 8 guys, whatever. The fact is that for a $35 book and for a $65 pack of guys, you're set, you're done. You got to paint them, sure, and well, you don't even have to buy dice. If you buy the box from Merck's, it comes with the dice, so you've got everything you need. Infinity. Infinity's also a good game you should think about. It's made by guys from Spain, where it's a skirmish game, science fiction. From what I understand, the rules are a little difficult, but once you get the hang of it, it really starts to roll, so that's cool. A game that I'm getting very much into is Dust Warfare, which is from Fantasy Flight Games. Alternate history, World War II. The models come pre-built, so you don't have to build them. They don't come on sprues. They're already glued together and everything. They come pre-primed, and they come pre-based. They've got, the allies are green, and the axis is gray. So if you just want to do some washes and some detail and you work from there, you're done. You don't have to start off, put them all together, go and airbrush them, prime them, whatever, do all that stuff. They're ready to go. You can literally start playing right out of the box, but if you want to look nicer, it's not that hard to work on. It's a great game system. It's a lot of fun. So, just like it's important in finance to diversify, I've been told, you should also make sure to diversify in your gaming. Because if one of the big companies, all of your eggs are in their basket, and they decide to take that basket and go home, where did all your eggs go? That's a terrible analogy. I don't think that worked out as well as I would have liked it to. But the point is, spread things out. Don't just focus on one system. Don't just completely, to the detriment of everything else, just work on one system. Play a lot of things. Not only does it help you to learn new stuff, it'll cause you to meet new people, because you'll be playing this game against the same people over and over again. But then maybe you start playing this game, and there's other people who play that game, so now you've met those guys, and maybe they'll start playing the game that you're playing over here, and those people over here, and then it'll just go back up, and then eventually everybody's playing games, which is really what we want.